Hey there, Tyler at Visual Intelligence. All right, today we are talking about Tableau mobile-friendly dashboards. Now, this is not a huge topic, and I really don't see this much with a lot of clients, but whenever someone does need a mobile-friendly dashboard or a tablet-friendly dashboard, this is a huge topic because trying to get your desktop dashboard into a mobile, it looks pretty messed up. So this is definitely something you need to pay attention to if your end user, your client, is going to be looking at Tableau in the mobile app or just on their phone or on their tablet, because there is a lot of different things that you need to do in order for it to make it mobile friendly. Just like in a website, right? You're looking at it in the desktop, it looks completely different in a phone. So you need to be able to manipulate it so that it looks good in a smaller screen. Now in this video, we're going to talk about all the different tips and tricks to get it to be mobile friendly. We all also talk about how to get it into a tablet so that it looks nice there, but it's not as hard because it's pretty close to a small laptop screen. But there is a lot of different things we got to do to get it to be mobile friendly, and I'll show you all the tips and tricks that I use for it. Now in this video, I have already created a Tableau dashboard that I'm going to then convert into a mobile friendly dashboard. So if you need that dashboard and want to follow along, there's a link in order to download that dashboard so that you can kind of do it with us. All right, I will see you in the video. All right, so I got Tableau open. This is the template workbook that I was talking about. So if you don't have this, download this because you're going to need this to follow along. But we're pretty much at the point now where we created a dashboard. Our dashboard is made for desktop. I usually go, plus or minus, 100 pixels, but about 1200 by 800. It's a pretty good size for a dashboard. But now we learn that, we have to give this to people on their phones and tablets. Okay. Now, Tableau automatically, will, once you, like, for example, download the app or log into Tableau Online or something, you'll get vertical and horizontal scroll bars. It'll be stuck like this, and it will just kind of move left and right? Ideally, you don't want that, especially if somebody's going to be using these dashboards all the time on their phone. Then you're going to want to create a specific version for that phone. Now, it's kind of cool because Tableau will recognize if you're in the Tableau app and or logging in Tableau Online. It'll recognize if you're on a tablet or a phone, and then it will automatically show that version of the dashboard. So up here you see where it's like dashboard device preview. Depending on if a phone or a tablet logs in, it'll show something, the tablet version. If a phone logs in, it'll show the phone version. So it automatically shows a specific version depending on what device it logs in. Historically, that wasn't a thing. You would have to create essentially a desktop version of that, which is one workbook, a tablet version of that, which is one workbook, and a phone version of it. Now, Tableau's smart enough to know what's logging in, and then it automatically adjusts. So the end user doesn't really even have to do nothing. It looks like one dashboard for them, and that dashboard dynamically updates, showing them which version based off of what device they're logging into. So that's really cool. Okay, so kind of just talking high level, let me get out of this. High level, some things we want to pay attention to is we know that, especially a phone, right, it's a lot thinner. So we want to make it so that we have not a horizontal scroll. We want it to have a vertical scroll, which is fine, but not a horizontal scroll. So we're going to have to squish this dashboard up a little bit or a lot and kind of stack everything on top of each other. All right. Also, if somebody's on the phone, they're going to want to see kind of just a quick glance of what's going on. They want to see high level numbers. They want to see, specific charts. Maybe certain charts are not relevant for a phone user. They want to not have it to be so interactive and exploring. They just kind of want the numbers right there in front of them. So you might have to adjust your design from being like an analytics dashboard to more of a report, because when somebody logs in the phone, it's not like they're going to be trying to filter a whole bunch, clicking through a whole bunch, being interactive like Tableau's cool of doing. They're kind of looking at specific KPIs. So you want it to make it super simple. super straight to the point, not a lot of interactivity, and give them their numbers that they want right away. All right, another thing you want to kind of pay attention to is, we have a little cursor on our mouse, right? People's fingers are a lot bigger on their phones, so you want to kind of make things a little bigger. So you got to kind of pay attention to the sizing of things. Font, it's a little smaller on a phone. You got to pay attention to the font sizing. So a lot of things you have to kind of look at. Now, you can just kind of do it and then log in and test it out, and you'll automatically see like, all right, the font's too small or this doesn't work. So a lot of it's kind of a hit and miss, kind of trial type of thing. All right, so let's go ahead and start since we got kind of a high level overview going on. So this is the normal interface, right? You got the dashboard up here, device preview. Now this is the default dashboard, which will show in anything, right? Now I make my default be whatever my desktop's going to be. Saves you time. So this is going to be essentially my desktop dashboard. Now if we go up here to device preview, you'll see we have device preview. We have different types, desktop, tablet, phone. We have different models of each one. Then we have, Tableau mobile app or not. So you see it kind of makes it a little longer. Or it makes it a little shorter because, you have all that extra stuff at the top of mobile app. And then we have add phone layout. Okay, let's start with desktop first. So we'll start kind of biggest to smallest. So we got desktop, different desktop kind of models or monitors. This doesn't really matter. This just kind of gives you a overview, or you can see what it would look like on these. But like I said, I always test it out. Once you're done, test it out on a few different real ones to see what it really looks like. But you can go through and kind of play with it and see what it looks like. It would be really helpful if you knew like your standard company laptop or standard tablet or whatever. But you can kind of play with one of these and figure that out. From there, all you got to do is add desktop layout. And you'll see right here is default, right, which is just the regular, which works for all of the devices essentially if you don't do this, and then desktop. So this is what it'll look like for desktop. Okay. Now desktop, once again, I made this for desktop, so I'm not going to do anything to edit my dashboard essentially. Only thing you can do, really only thing you want to do is either change it from default to fit all or fit with or all that. But like I said, desktop, I already made my desktop version for default, so you don't really have to do anything here. Okay. So just leave desktop alone, and then let's move to the next one, which is tablet. All right, tablet is not as hard. It's not that much harder because their tablets are pretty big nowadays, right? So same concept. We have the different types of tablets, and you'll see actually the tablet's kind of very close to my default dashboard sizing. So we can play with different ones. Everybody kind of has Apple nowadays, so let's just do like the big Apple, the big iPad one. Okay, let's do add tablet layout. And it actually fits really good. That's why I said, like with the tablet, it's super quick because your default desktop one is very close to tablet sizing anyway. So generally it fits very well. Sometimes it doesn't, but as you see, we have fit all, right? Sometimes it doesn't. Some things move around a little bit. Then you can just kind of move it. So essentially you just move things around to fit. Maybe if you floated some stuff, sometimes that kind of gets in the way. So you might have to, readjust the floating or something. But if you made your desktop, your default around 1200 by 800, your tablet should fit pretty good, especially if you're using containers and stuff. Okay. So tablet, pretty simple, very close to a desktop. So you don't have to do much. You might have to tweak it a little bit, but just make sure you do add tablet layout, and then fit all, and then you have your tablet. So right now, whenever somebody logs in as a desktop, they get this. Whenever somebody logs in tablet, they get this. Now the key here is the phone. That's the biggest difference. Okay, so let's go ahead and do another one, which is the phone. We got different phones here. Most people are on Apple, especially with business. So I always do kind of the whatever the most recent Apple one is. Okay, and you'll see here these lines tell you what the phone layout looks like. Okay, and then once again, this is on the mobile app or not. So if people are going to be logging in on the mobile app, have this checked because you see it's a little smaller than if people are just logging in through a browser. But like I said, it's a vertical scroll, so it's really not that big of a deal because they're going to be vertically scrolling anyway. So it's nothing to really worry about. Okay, so I'll just leave this, and then we'll do the add phone layout. All right, now the phone layout is going to be all jacked up. Okay, and that is because it pretty much makes the dashboard into like a third of the width. Okay, now we're going to update that. I'm going to show you some cool things to do to fix that also. But you'll see it kind of just squished everything in like this. And now we got to update it. Okay, so right here, we're going to uncheck that and unlock it so that we can play with it. Okay, so now you see everything is kind of jacked up. It pretty much just squished everything in and threw stuff all around. Like these were, as you recall, kind of over here. This is all jacked up. We got this sign here, right? It's all messed up. We're going to have to fix this a lot. Now, in a mobile application, we don't really need all of this stuff, right? Like I said, sometimes you want to delete some stuff. Sometimes you want to add some stuff. Just because, somebody's looking at something in the desktop doesn't mean they need that in the mobile. So you want to kind of first figure out exactly what they need, strip everything out that they don't, and only show them the stuff that is important. And then so we're trying to simplify this as much as possible. Okay, so one cool thing and key thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to create specific charts just for mobile. Now, it won't take too much time because we can duplicate charts and change formatting and different things because we already have kind of those charts made. Or you might actually have to create charts from scratch, but it's going to be only in the mobile version of this dashboard. So they're only going to show up in the phone version here. Okay, now the key to this is it has to be in the desktop or in the default view. The charts have to be in the default view in order for it to be seen over here in the mobile view. Okay, so you'll see at the bottom, I have a few mobile charts that I built. So these are just charts that I built just for mobile. So you'll see the font is different, a little coloring's different, right? So these are the claims paid, claims for 1,000. If we go back up to like here, right? We don't see that on any of these, right? None of those charts are here. But what I'm going to do is I'm not going to put those charts on the desktop or tablet, but I am going to put those charts on phone to make it look better. Okay. Now, in order to get those charts here, you'll see that that is not an option. We have to put those charts in the default view. But once again, I don't want to show those charts here. I just want to be able to get those charts and put them in a mobile. So we're going to do a little trick. All right, what we're going to do is I'm going to grab a vertical container. And these charts, I'm just going to throw them in this container. All right, go ahead. I'm going to hide these titles. All right, so now they're in this container. I'm going to select one of them, or one of these charts. I'm going to go to select container. And then the container should be a blue border around it. Okay. If it's not blue border, that means you're grabbing an item, which is great, but you need a blue border around it. Hit the drop down, do add and show hide button. You see a little X pops up here. If you hold Alt on your keyboard and click this, it'll open and close this. So it's just hiding it. All right. I then don't want to see this little icon here. So I'm going to edit my button. I'm going to change this from image to text. I'm just going to put, I don't know, X, put whatever you want, really doesn't matter. Make it white. And you see nothing shows up here, right? So it's just a little blank square. I'm just going to put that here. And then if I hit Alt and hit this blank square, it opens and closes, right? Now, only thing I'm doing is I'm just trying to get those charts on my default view so that I can pull it in my phone view. So now if we go to phone, now those charts are available, right? But I'm not showing them here because I don't want to actually see them. I just got to put them here and hide them. Okay. So you have to potentially make some charts just for your mobile and bring them in your default and hide them so that you can grab them. Okay. So now let's go back to phone. And now let's start cleaning it up. I mean, there's not really a huge science to this. It is a lot of, I mean, just like Tableau, a lot of creativity, a lot of just moving things around and playing with it and seeing how you want it. So we're going to just kind of work through this. Some things you do want to maybe do is over here on the sizing. You know, you want to do fit width. Fit all is going to fit this whole thing. Normally, you're going to have some vertical scrolling because you know you can't fit a whole bunch of chart on a little phone, right? So you can have a fit width, and then you can have a fit or then a specific height. I probably won't play with this height until towards the end, and then I can start moving it around because obviously I'm not going to be sure how much height I'm going to need. Okay, but let's go ahead and add some add our different charts in here. Now I already kind of have a layout that I want to do, so I'm going to kind of play with that. Now one thing you can do, so for example, like my title here, right, it's pretty big. I don't want to show that, so what I can do is I can just exit out of it, and you'll see that title is removed from my phone, but it's still in my tablet and desktop. Okay, so if you close things, it's not going to delete it from the other ones. It just deletes it from this one. Okay, same thing with this. I don't want it. And if I hover, you'll see remove from phone. So it's not going to remove it from all of them, which is cool. So I'll remove that. I'm going to bring in a horizontal container. I'm going to put, let's see, I'm going to put my paid claims in here. And I'm going to put my cost per claim here. I'm going to throw this one at the top. So once again, I'm just going to kind of play with the layout some. So I'm going to hide titles here. Move this up. All right. And now it's just kind of making everything fit like you want it. So I'm going to make that a little smaller. And you see there's the border here, right? So it looks like right about here is when the phone would switch, or when you actually have to start scrolling. So kind of a nice tip is to, whenever this is gray line is here, try to get it like in the middle of a chart so that people know that they should scroll, right? Because if it's like at the end of the chart, they may think that's the entire dashboard. So I like to try to make this line somewhere in the middle so that they can see there's more, you know, at the bottom that they need to do. Okay, so let's see what else we want to bring in here. I don't want these high level numbers, so I'm going to delete these. Let's just kind of go through and see what we want to keep and what we don't want to keep. I want to keep the age band. I want to keep the gender. So all of that looks good. I'm going to make my dashboard smaller as far as height goes. Once again, you probably won't know this until you start doing it, but I did this before, so I already know I want it to be about 1700. But from there, it's really just kind of moving things how you want them. So I'm gonna start actually at the bottom. Let's make this. I'm gonna float this over here. And remember, changing from tile to floating or floating to tile, you hold shift, and that'll do that for you. And then you just kind of start clicking and dragging, or to be honest with you. Let's click and drag. Make that a little bigger. I don't actually need these KPIs that tall. It's always fun doing clicking and dragging in Tableau, right? All right, so this is actually looking pretty good. So we'll just kind of scroll through again. All right, so this is what people will see. Now, if you add some text, for example, I don't really want to, but just to show you something, right? So let's do test, right? If I add some text like this, right? When I go to tablet or when I go to desktop, it's not gonna show. All right, so any objects right here that you bring in, pictures included, will be just for this specific view, for the phone view. But if you need to bring in actual charts, then you have to put it in the default view. You can hide it and then bring it in, okay? But it is very good to create specific charts just for the phone view. Sometimes you don't have to, which is great, but a lot of times you do, okay? So that is how you make it mobile friendly. From here, I would do a lot of testing because it always looks different on here than when you are on Tableau Online or server or when you're on the app. All right, so do a lot of testing, on a lot of different phones, on different desktops and laptops if you can. Test the heck out of it because I always find it doesn't look exactly like this whenever you actually using it. All right, so let's kind of go through the process again. Your default will be whatever your desktop will be. So that's what you generally build all the time, right? So that's super easy. We just use the default as desktop. The tablet is super close to what the default is. So you just make it fit the tablet. And then you may have to move some things around or change things, especially if you're floating. But it's usually not a lot of work to get it to look like, get it to fit in the tablet window. Phone, that's where the big task is. It's going to become super skinny as far as the width goes. You're going to have to either delete some things, add some new charts, which you'll add in the default and bring it in, maybe add some different objects and such. But the key here is to make it super simple, high level. You don't want a lot of like interactivity, a lot of filters. If you are going to use a filter, I would probably use a action to like click on a button and it filters it compared to quick filters. But generally you want this to be very high level, big font, big text, get straight to the point. Okay, and that is how you do a mobile friendly dashboard in Tableau. All right, well, I hope that helps out, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, so we're all done now. So as you saw, there is not, it's not too hard. There's just some kind of tips and tricks in order to get it to be a mobile friendly dashboard. But you did a lot of the work when you created the desktop. But sometimes you got to create additional charts like we did. You got to move things around. That tip of hiding different charts and bringing it into mobile is super key. As you see, it's not very hard. It's just, knowing the right way of doing it. But it is something that you have to take care of if people are going to look at it on the phone, because otherwise it just won't be good enough for the end user to use. All right, so I hope that helps, and I'll see you in the next video.